Good morning. This is the Formless Podcast, number 26. I am Dustin, and that's all you get today. Tyler's out on another hunting adventure. He'll be back next week or the week after. Haven't decided that far ahead yet. Maybe he'll do a solo episode. I'll let him tell you about that. I'm going to get to hammering on this one. I've been thinking about today's subject for a while now. In fact, I've done 3 rewrites, 1 recording, and 4 read-alouds to my long-suffering wife. What does one do when stuck in a rut or at an impasse? I think we all have those at one time or another. Or we felt a little like we are on the merry-go-round of life's little problems. For me, life seems like going from one problem to another problem sometimes. And if I don't catch myself, it can really be rough on the old ego. In fact, while I was working on this episode, I had a few ruts that I had been, until now, ignoring. The biggest one, and the one that made me lose my cool completely, is the family minivan, or what my beautiful bride calls the Dream Crusher. The Dream Crusher is a 2011 Dodge Caravan with over 160,000 miles on the clock. It's been a good car, but it's a little punch drunk and is starting to have more issues, the kind that you can't ignore. It has lots of issues you can ignore too, but, well, you get the idea. The van is fixed now, but it threw a big wrench into the works for a bit. And it may be time to send it out to pasture. These ruts, problems, roadblocks, whatever you call them, seem to come out of nowhere, from out of the blue. But if we really look at them, it's not always the case. And if I'm going to be honest, there is a lot of things that I've totally ignored on the Dream Crusher. I've only opened the owner's maintenance manual when there's been an issue. And other than oil changes, tires, and brakes, the only care it gets is when it breaks. It's a very good thing I don't take care of my relationship with my wife like I do the van. So are all these problems, ruts that we find ourselves in self-inflicted? Maybe, maybe not. But for sure, most of the ones on the van are. And more than a few of my problems, most definitely, are self-inflicted. Recently, I went to the Martial Arts Super Show, and we talked a bit about it a few episodes back. On the last day there, Sensei Blaine and I, and about 75 others, got to train with and learn from Sifu Harinder Singh. Sifu Singh is a very, very accomplished martial artist with many titles in Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do, Kali, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and more, I'm sure. At the show, he taught around the idea of overcoming problems and challenges, amongst a whole bunch of other stuff. But this one really stood out to me. To help break down these ideas and get to goals, he has an acronym that he was talking about. It really stuck with me and made me think about martial arts and life in a different light. It's called BWAR. Breathe, watch, adapt, and respond. Now, I'm in no way saying that I have all these answers. These are just a few of my thoughts on the subject. And in my mind, this is something that really works when I try to apply it. If I'm conscious of it, that is. The more I try, the better I get at it, too. But like anything worth doing, it takes work. And in fact, this episode is 100% selfish endeavor to help me hopefully understand this better. It is my sincere hope that you get something from this too. On to Sifu Singh's acronym, breathe. You have to breathe. It is a requirement for life. To think, to be, oxygen fuels life and keeps the brain working and the heart pumping. Taking a breath allows for a pause or a break in the action. It is a time to reflect and refocus our efforts to the task at hand. Whether we are writing, fighting, cooking, whichever thing that we are dealing with at that moment. Watch. Sometimes watching us teaches us the things we missed. Details upon repeated views allows for insight, especially when we've taken that breath first. It gives us a new chance with fresh oxygen. I like to think of this as the wait and see approach. In sparring, you can use it to catch a pattern or rhythm of our partner. We watch what this person does to find the patterns or tells that they have. Adapt. This is the time to make the changes necessary to achieve our goals we have. The dictionary defines adapt as becoming adjusted to new conditions or make something suitable for a new use or purpose. To modify. Respond. Respond accordingly. This to me is the answer to the question. All of the other previous steps lead us here. If we do this right, we can achieve the goal. If not, go back to step 1. Breathe. This can happen in a flash or take years. The time it takes depends on the depth of your rut. Now, to put all of this together, I want you, dear listener, to imagine that we are training together in a sparring match. This one's going to be more like a game of tag than a beat each other up. The goal is to solve problems, figure out the puzzle, not to beat on each other here. I'm going to use all of my weapons: punches, kicks, knees, elbows, etc. You, dear friend, are going to get one technique. For the sake of argument, let's just say you get the uppercut. No matter what I do, all you have is the uppercut. Now, that uppercut can be to the body, it could be to the chin, it could be anywhere as long as it is an uppercut. I get all the advantage. I have all of my skills to use, plus I know what you are trying to hit me with. Since the uppercut is primarily a short-range punch, I will keep you at bay and keep my distance with kicks and straight punches. Every time you try to get close, you eat a kick or a punch. We do this drill sometimes in our advanced class, and it's a tough one that you have to use your head. It's fun, but the first few times you do it, it can be really frustrating. It becomes a chess game or a hard puzzle to solve. Now, the first few times you do this drill, because of the disadvantages you face only using the uppercut, you are going to have some issues. This is supposed to be hard. You should find yourself in a rut. This is by design, and of course, not a real thing. But if done correctly, this might help you see problems in a new light. Look at them from a different angle. If this can be done in a game or sparring match, imagine doing this in the real world. Problems with coworkers, spouses, bosses, neighbors, etc. Martial arts has given me a thinking brain. One that tries to work through problems and not just scream at them. Sometimes. I am not, nor will I ever claim to have this lesson down. This is a lesson that requires constant learning. I think I'm going to be working on this until the day I die. Some days I'm real successful with it. Others just got to go back to the drawing board. Now, we're going to apply this acronym to our sparring match. Breathe. Allow your mind to relax. As a new student or new students are reminded to breathe during sparring, as we tend to stress a lot, especially when we're sparring for the first few times. We tend to tense up and panic. Breathing helps to get that oxygen to the muscles and the brain and allows it to work. In order for any of this to work, we have to breathe. It's what gives us that little break in the action. Watch. What are you watching? Openings, timings, patterns, tells, looking for things like these. Where are my hands when I've thrown a punch? Do I pause after a big kick? That sort of thing. This doesn't happen all at once. In fact, it's going to take more than a few engagements to figure out each step. You may only get to breathe for the first few times, and then you'll breathe and watch, and then maybe have to go back, that sort of thing. The next step, adapt. What sort of changes need to be made so you can get your desired results? Do you need to be quicker on your feet, closer to me, further away? What has to change for you to be successful? This part, this adapt, this can be the most difficult thing because we're searching for that change that needs to be made sometimes. Some people panic here. I panic here. This is the part, if you don't know what you're looking for, can cause a hiccup or throw a wrench in the works. This causes me personally to have to go back to the first step over again sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to find what needs to change. You can find it, just have to be patient with it. Now you respond. Maybe you've noticed a pattern you can interrupt, a tell that I have. Maybe after I throw a combination, I pause slightly before I reset. This is all easier said than done, and like I've said earlier, usually will take more than a few tries to get the understanding of it. Maybe you decide to wait for me to come to you, into your range. There, you can step on my foot and give me that uppercut right on the chin. There's hundreds of different ways to do this. It's one of my favorite drills to do. It takes the competition out of it because sometimes the goal is not to win. The goal is to learn. And in this scenario, we're trying to learn. We're trying to think, learn how to react, learn how to adapt. When you give yourself limitations and force yourself to work within those constraints, you have to look at things from a different light or a different angle. And it's a fun one to do. And I encourage you to try it sometime. It's a good exercise. And you can do it with anything. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You can try and grapple with a partner and pick one technique, an arm bar, a knee bar, a Ezekiel choke, and work that. You can try it in boxing. You can try it with, you get one punch, your partner's got all of them. You can try it with just about any type of sparring match, any type of confrontational type of event. It's a fun one to do. As a musician, you can take one key and try and make that key fit into a piece of music. Or I play guitar. You can try and take that scale and how can I adjust it and make that scale work in a piece of music. A tempo, a rhythm, a pattern, all of those things. How can we adjust this to make this fit? It's kind of like forcing the square peg in the round hole. How do I make that work? It's a fun one. I encourage you, again, to try it. It can be frustrating if you're trying to force it and it doesn't work. Just remember those steps. Breathe, watch, adapt, respond. That's all I got today. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. Friends, this has just been the time of my life doing this. I have a lot of fun. I think about it all week. I think about what I'm going to talk about. It's something else. If you like what you're listening to, please subscribe. If you have questions, comments, concerns, didn't cover something, don't understand something, drop us an email, theformlesspod@gmail.com. Reach out to us on Twitter, formless_the. We have a Facebook group called the Formless Podcast. It's a small group. Tyler and I moderate it. It's pretty open, and you're welcome to join us there. Also, we have the Instagram page where I post every day stuff about what I'm doing. Mostly it's pictures of my journal and my clock at 4:30 in the morning when I wake up. But there's other stuff on there too. Get on that path, work, join us. It's fun. We have the time of our lives. If you want to be a guest on our show, reach out. If you train martial arts, especially. If you want us on your show, reach out. We're here. Last episode, we talked about asking the audience a question about what formless means to you. If you have a thought on that, please reach out to us on email or any of the other things I mentioned before. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We'll respond and maybe talk about your answer or question on the show. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, wonderful morning. Enjoy your day, wherever it may be, whatever you may be doing.